Watch TLDR ad-free, get new exclusive videos, and soon the daily briefing by signing up to Nebula for just $15 a year. The Curiosity Stream Nebula bundle deal is linked in the description. In his speech to Russia, justifying what Russia called a special military operation in Ukraine, Putin said,
И для этого мы будем стремиться к демилитаризации и денацификации Украины, а также преданию суду тех, кто совершил многочисленные кровавые преступления против мирных жителей, в том числе и граждан Российской Федерации.
Now, Putin chose his words carefully. He said his intention, among other things, was to demilitarize Ukraine. Not part of Ukraine, not Donbass, not Luhansk, not Mariupol, Ukraine. Western intelligence prior to the invasion seems to agree that Putin was always going to try and take Kyiv, Ukraine's capital, with a view of occupying the rest of Ukraine. Well, last week Russia's defense ministry held a briefing which suggested that the main task of the first stage of the operation has been completed. And yesterday Russia has said that it will drastically reduce hostilities in Kyiv in an effort to de-escalate the war and boost mutual trust in peace talks. Which all begs the question, why has Russia adopted this new strategy now? And is it credible? First things first, why, in Russia's words, was there a need in the first place to demilitarize Ukraine? Well, Russia argues that attacking Kyiv, and by extension Ukraine as a whole, was always simply to try and stop Ukraine sending reinforcements to Donbass, the breakaway region hosting the self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic and Donetsk People's Republic. Going along with this position, Russia is justifying the change in strategy by saying that Ukraine's combat potential has been considerably reduced, which makes it possible to focus our core efforts on achieving the main goal, the liberation of Donbass. I.e., Ukraine and Ukrainian forces are no longer an immediate threat when it comes to reinforcements in Donbass. All of these statements in the last week give the false impression that Russia was always just interested in taking Donbass. Donbass was used as a de facto justification for attacking the other areas of Ukraine, most notably Kyiv. But there's two problems with that. A, it's a seemingly limitless view, if you believe it, and B, it's just not true. In the first instance, if you do believe that Russia's sole aim was to liberate the Donbass region and believe the Russian view that its activities outside of Donbass were solely to stop reinforcements from being sent to the region, it raises the question as to why stop at just Ukraine. Throughout the entire lead-up to the invasion, there was immense speculation as to whether or not Ukraine would end up joining the NATO alliance. Taking the argument that it was necessary to attack Kyiv to liberate Donbass, it could well be equally true that it's necessary to attack the US to liberate Donbass and stop America sending in reinforcements. It's an incredibly slippery and dangerous view if actually true. Which brings us on to the second aspect, its veracity. As The Economist puts it, the idea that Russia was only ever interested in Donbass is nonsense. Western officials with knowledge of Russia's war plans have consistently stressed that Russia's intention throughout was to capture Kyiv and ideally the whole of Ukraine. The Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, claimed that ceremonial uniforms were found in the back of captured Russian tanks, either meaning that Russian forces were so unprepared that they had to resort to ceremonial uniforms to clothe themselves, or, much more likely, they suspected an easy win and were planning a victory parade. Much earlier on in the invasion, a matter of hours in fact, RIA Novosti, a Russian state-owned news agency, accidentally published a seemingly pre-prepared article stating that Ukraine has returned to Russia. Did someone in the old European capitals, in Paris and Berlin, seriously believe that Moscow would give up Kyiv? The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, at the beginning of the invasion, highlighted how anyone who reads Putin's historicising essays, who has watched his televised declaration of war on Ukraine, or has recently, as I have done, held hours of direct talks with him, can no longer have any doubt that Putin wants to build a Russian empire. He wants to fundamentally redefine the status quo with Europe in line with his own vision. And he has no qualms about using military force to do so. The reason Russia is supposedly changing its strategy to focus more on the Donbass region alone is primarily for the fact that it has failed to, as hoped, easily take over Kyiv and other major parts of Ukraine. Russian forces have ultimately taken just one city, Kherson, failed to surround, let alone capture Kyiv, and have lost somewhere between 7,000 and 15,000 soldiers. According to NATO estimates, up to 40,000 Russian soldiers have been killed, wounded, captured, or otherwise missing in action in Ukraine. Crucially, however, is the shift in strategy genuine? Is Russia really focusing solely now on the liberation of Donbass? To put it bluntly, no. In the immediate aftermath of the statement announcing a change in focus, British Defence Intelligence stated that there had been no significant change to the disposition of Russian forces, with a further Western official remarking that Russia continues to pose a significant threat to Kyiv. John Kirby, spokesperson for the Pentagon, reiterated the claim stating that we've only seen a small number begin to move away from Kyiv. We all should be prepared to watch for a major offensive against other areas of Ukraine. It does not mean that the threat to Kyiv is over. In more substantive terms, Russia has continued to attack the region it pledged to reduce hostilities in, most notably Kyiv and Chernihiv. Chernihiv's governor announced on Telegram that Russian forces had been continuing to carry out strikes on the city of Nezhin, including airstrikes, and hit Chernihiv all night long. Chernihiv's mayor, talking to the BBC, highlighted how, as recently as Tuesday, inhumane artillery shelling of several residential areas of the city took place, where about 35 people were hospitalised, where people lost their legs and some people were killed. Reporters on the ground in Kyiv have continued to hear heavy shelling even after the decreased hostilities. In an overnight video address, Zelensky stressed that Ukrainians are not naive people. We can say that the signals are positive, but those signals do not drown out the explosions or Russian shells. And frankly, Ukrainians don't seem to believe that Russia's aim has been to liberate Donbass. An opinion poll of Ukrainians conducted by the sociology group Rating towards the beginning of March showed that 56% of respondents believe the main goal of Russia's invasion was the complete destruction of the Ukrainian people, a view that dominates in all regions of Ukraine. Half believe that the aim is occupation of Ukraine and its annexation by Russia. Only 2% believe that the invasion was aimed at protecting Russian speakers, i.e. the breakaway regions. The announcement of Russia's new strategy has to also be viewed holistically, with Russia's actions before the war. In an interview with Euronews, the Russian ambassador to the EU, when asked whether Russia was about to invade Ukraine, stressed that Russia has no plans to invade either Ukraine or any other country. It's a bluff created not in Russia, but in those countries that are spreading this hysterical message, I would say across Europe and the world. Ultimately, we'll have to wait to see how genuine this shift is. So be sure to subscribe for more updates, and subscribe to TLDR Daily for daily news roundups starting Monday. The channel is linked below. You can also get more from Nebula. Nebula is the streaming service my creator friends and I teamed up to build, where you can watch all of TLDR's videos ad-free and get a bunch of exclusive content which will never make it to YouTube. Also, as I said, next week we're bringing back our show The Daily Briefing. The abridged version will be available on YouTube, but the full briefing is only on Nebula. It's not just us either, all of our favourite educational creators are already there, like Wendover Productions, Real Life Law, Polymatter, Legal Eagle, Half as Interesting, and many more. But wait, we said this video was brought to you by CuriosityStream, right? Well, as a platform full of the best documentaries online, they naturally love educational creators like us. As such, we've worked out a deal whereby if you sign up for CuriosityStream using the link in the description, you'll also get free access to Nebula. That's not just a trial either, you'll get access for as long as you're a member. To make things even better, for a limited time, they're offering a deal where you can get 26% off their already low price, making an entire year of both services less than $15. Less than $15 a year for all your favourite educational creators, as well as superb documentaries on CuriosityStream. Signing up at curiositystream.com/TLDREU or clicking the link below not only gets you the deal, but also directly supports TLDR and educational content on the platform more generally, as well as getting you original content, the extended daily briefing, and an ad-free experience.